Please help me welcome on stage Amisha, Vora, and Geetika Mehta.
Hi, everyone. So we want to share a part of our journey and also that since we are, I wouldn't say only lucky, but definitely lucky to be where we are, what we plan to do to further this cause. Is that right?
Absolutely, Amisha.
Hi. I would first request you to introduce yourself and then.
Okay, so my name is Geetika. I lead the business for Hershey's in India. And I hope, unlike me, Hershey's needs no introduction. It's this lovely chocolate brand. And it's really a privilege to be leading the business here. Amisha, why don't you go?
Hi. I'm Amisha Vora, a chartered accountant by profession. And I know she's in IIM Ahmedabad and beyond. And I started my journey as a research analyst, moved on with this group, Prabhudas Lilladhe. We are in business for more than 75 years. And during this journey, from frankly a research analyst to institutional sales, to managing institutional business, then to adding the corporate finance and investment banking and NBFC, and now co-owning and managing the whole business is the journey that I have traveled. And Geetika, it would be really great if you share with us in your milestone to managing an MNC in one of the largest democracy in the world, and maybe the highest growing economy in the world, what are the key milestones or key decisions you had to take which really helped you reach here?
So I think maybe I will share a little bit about my journey. So as you said, yes, I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And I remember when, placement time and I had a few options. There was banking, there was, marketing, there was sales. So I, like any other good daughter, call up my mother and say, can you help me? What should I choose? And she said, whatever you take, don't take Unilever because, sales is not for women. And that's exactly the trigger I needed. That's exactly when I went and signed on to Unilever, saying I wanted to do things which are different, which are not the beaten path. And I love challenges as a person. So I said, that's what I'm going to do. And then I, of course, joined Unilever. This was almost 2 decades ago. And then even in sales, it was challenging, right? I mean, I'd once gone to sack a distributor and, he actually put out his revolver. And I'm like, I'm just doing my job here, And, so there have been very, very different things which perhaps at that moment I thought was great, as a challenge. And I look back and I say, I hope as women leaders progress, they don't have to face those challenges, right? I mean, I was in a hotel in Moradabad at 2 a.m. People were banging on my door, and I'm like calling my sales officer saying, I think I need some help here, So I just like the aspiration and hope here is that as we progress and as we women leaders become more and more in the industry, we're able to kind of provide the right avenues and the right space and the, just an area where women can really thrive in their organizations. So yeah, so that's, I think the inflection point for me have been many, but I particularly loved the sales part of my stint. Maybe, Amisha, I would love to ask you, because you've had such a long and beautiful journey as well. But I got to know it a little bit, but the audience doesn't. So why don't you talk us through the inflection points in your journey?
So I guess, when, frankly, I started my journey as a research analyst, and I really love to share that number, that I started at a salary. It was not stipend. a professionally qualified chartered accountant at 1,800 rupees a month. And that was with the most premier investment banking company in India those days when MNCs were not there, JM Financial. And all my other CA colleagues were doing much better in their practice. And that's when every day evening, just one thought kept coming to me. This is not just going to work. So why I'm highlighting that is, frankly, it's not that entrepreneurship is about men. It's just about anybody. And it just kept bugging me. And within 2 years, I started a partnership with another colleague of mine from JM. And we started our research and institutional business ourselves. And that's the time when India was just opening up, 92, 95. And we really did very well with all the FIIs. And as what you say, sales. So frankly, I have also done a very basic sales where we used to go to Singapore, go down the building, look at the key FII names, then go back to the hotel, find the names, set up our meetings, go meet about and talk about the India and the key ideas in which they should invest according to us, as India is a fantastic opportunity. So yes, both of us have started from scratch, and that's what really matters. But as I moved along, and I'm very happy and proud to also share, I think the key decision or milestone which changed my journey further is in 2003, there was a major crisis across the world because of the 9/11, and it had its huge repercussions in India also. And even those days, Prabhudas Lilladhe was one of the most respected financial services and trusted financial services house. But businesses were so down that at some point they thought that maybe the institutional business, which I was heading those days, they probably will have to shut. And I somehow said that, okay, I can just make sure, I was not a leader that days, that I'll make sure that you are not going to lose a single rupee. Allow me 2 days to sit with the team. And then I said that, okay, I'm taking a 70% cut. You all decide what is good for you. And everybody just chipped in. We were a team of 40, just this department. Today, of course, we are a much larger team. And we managed to scrape through. And within 5 years from then, I'm very happy to share that we did 100x in business because India just opened up. So I think that was a key decision, post which the ownership was shared. And as I said today, I also own the business. That's my journey.
No, it's beautiful, Amisha. I would love to also maybe ask you, what are you doing in order to, kind of propel diversity in your company?
So, throughout this journey, as I used to serve FIIs, I used to take appointment, for example, on a Tuesday, and they say, Thursday, I'm ready to meet. So same day evening, I'll pack it up and go. But I know the other side of the challenge, that my child was growing up, and half the time I'll cry, feel very guilty. So that was the another side which definitely any women many a times go through. Fortunately, in the very man-dominated, fiercely competitive financial services industry today, at PL, we have 27% diversity across all departments. It's not just marketing, it's not just HR, it's not just operations, but institutional sales, research. We have very dominating, fiercely competitive, and aggressive women. What change I try to do is, many a times, I didn't break my career. I was lucky enough with family support, but in case they have to take a break, I welcome them back after a break of whatever, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. And that is where they can begin back as the child has stabilized. And I think that is one thing I request all men sitting here in leadership position also to keep in mind, because that's very important. As we travel and we do justice to both the sides of our personality. And I would like you to also tell me what specially you do as a very influential leader to support.
Yeah. So I think I would love to talk about what Hershey's does. You will be surprised to know that in our leadership team, 43% are women. So that's the kind of diversity that we bring to the table. And why do we do that? Because we genuinely believe, the consumers we serve are diverse, right? They're not just men, they're men and women. And in fact, why only men and women? There are people with special abilities. I mean, there's just so much more that we should do. And if we are not diverse at the leadership table, then how will we provide products, or how will we be closer to what our consumers need? So I think from that lens, we've ensured we are really high on those levels. The other thing, and like you talked about, women when they come back from maternity, or so we provide, as daycare benefits so that they can kind of come back without the worries of how will they handle childcare, without kind of leaving half their heart at home. We have women in our sales teams, which basically means, they go out in, literally small towns, and, how do we tie up? So we've tied up with a startup which actually helps provide clean toilet facilities. So it's an app, and it can tell you, you're here, this is the nearest clean toilet, and you have access to it because we've kind of provided that. So I think just the idea is not to get women in the workplace alone. That is the first step. The more important thing is to create that space, like I was saying, for them to be able to bring their, ace game onto there. So yeah, I think that's what we do at Hershey's.
So I think one very important topic I would like to also touch upon. Recently, there was an event of Women Directors Conclave. And fortunately, Finance Minister agreed to chair it. And this was one of the ideas as an advisory board member that me and the promoter of that Mentor My Board had discussed. And we were very happy we reached it. But it just tells and keeps many more questions in front of us. What about women at leadership? And some of the numbers she did touch upon, but they are still awfully small. Most of you might be knowing that any listed corporate has to have independent women director also on the board. And except some of the top rung groups, everybody else just, puts for name, not bases their professional accomplishments or contribution. So, in your opinion, what we as women leaders bring on table when they talk about diversity?
Okay. I think I'm going to be a little biased. I do think women bring a lot of special qualities, and I think for me, empathy, genuinely caring for people comes as one that is really right up there in my list of what women bring. I think I also believe we are naturally good at being able to handle a couple of juggling balls at the same time, and that comes in, very useful when we are in the business space. What else? I would say, I think also a sense around being able to handle stress better. Just not get, nothing phases us, or at least I've seen so many professional women, and they're just so, they're like, okay, we'll take it in our stride and we go forward. So genuinely, I do think women leaders have their own special brand. I wouldn't say that that's not true, that men don't have it. Equally, women, like you were saying, in your sales team, they're aggressive women. I just feel that all leaders can manifest, their special qualities that they bring to the fore. And which is why you need to have diversity. It should be we want everybody on the table. We don't want women or men or, a certain type. We want everybody on the table, and everybody then brings their special qualities. But I would love to ask about what do you think, and what special qualities?
So, traditionally, we all women and our mothers and their mothers, we've been managing, frankly, the household expenses. The typical roles were men earn and women judiciously manage. And that always gave us a neck on where to invest, how to invest, why to invest, and what return to expect. Not in terms of, I'm saying invest, but spend. And I think that's a very, very important quality which we bring on the table. Why? Because, and being from the financial services industry, I cater both men and women as fund managers, men and women as investors. And I feel that the basic quality of women asking more questions. You know, there are always memes and jokes. They say women just keep asking questions. But that is so important. That allows the board to think about a subject from different perspectives. The perspectives, questions, gives different dimensions, opens up different ways of looking at the same situation. So I think we are equal, but as a women, we do bring certain qualities of just this questioning, perspectives, taking very decision little more conservatively than men, I would say. Boldly, but conservatively, and conservative means in terms of financial risk and return, and I think some of those are so very essential to run the business and do it more effectively.
Super. We have the last few minutes. I don't know if it's okay for us to see if any questions from the audience. I'm actually looking at the organizers to say if that's okay. Is there any yeah, we have one right at the back.
Good evening. I would really want to know that how you were able to break the glass ceiling. You know, you have broken the glass ceiling, and were there any major challenges that you overcame? That would be interesting.
Would you like to start, and I can go?
So to be very fair and frank, to a great extent, I got support till the time my line was lower than the line next. But when the line started growing, I did face huge resistance. It really checked my resolve. But I always felt that it is good what's happening, otherwise I would have been an incomplete leader. And I continued. I always believe in just two things that I have, which people will find it difficult to manage, is I work 3 times as anybody else can work in a day, and I don't ever come short of perseverance. So I think it is the perseverance which finally helped me break wherever the hindrance was, and I still face it, and I'm still very sure that I'll overcome.
I think from my side, again, the important thing about who I am as a person, which is I love challenges, I love to, not be comfortable with status quo, helped. Because I was always looking at saying, why can't we do this differently? Why can't I take on this challenge? I once did this role. I have 2 young boys, and they were really tiny then. I mean, like sub 1 year, one of them. And this role involved traveling to Brazil, Thailand, South Africa. So basically, I was handling the entire D&E world. It was a global role. And, my line manager at that point said, but we would love to offer this to you. Would you be able to do it? And I was like, absolutely. Just because I'm a mother doesn't prevent me from being a great professional as well. So I think that's really, for me, worked a lot. And we obviously always stand on the shoulder of giants, right? There have been people who've supported us. So if I were to say it's all me, that'll be untrue. There have been people who've given us the opportunities, and then it is up to the individual to kind of take those opportunities and go forward. Okay, we are at time, so it was lovely speaking with you. Thanks for this.
Absolutely pleasure having you also and hearing about you. And thank you, audience,
Thanks.
for hearing us out. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Well, I think even the mic is speechless after listening to both of them. With that being said, I'd like to once again invite Sharad Gupta, co-founder and COO, Team Marksman Network, to please come on stage and present a memento as a token of our gratitude to both of our speakers here, Amisha, Vora, and Geetika Mehta. Can we have a huge round of applause? Because I knew that if time would permit, we could have more questions, but I hope we'll take these conversations offline as well. After this. Well, let's have all the three of you also come together for a group photograph. Thank you so much again. All right, the photographers are also insisting that we'll have all the three of you for a quick photograph. So much again. And meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you are also participating